Okay, my name is Lauren Green, and were you guys aware that 45 million people have at least one tattoo? So you can probably see that my topic is going to be about tattoos. My main claim is that society mislabels individuals by associating tattoos with false stereotypes. A definition of a tattoo is a form of body modification that uses multiple needles to inject ink into the skin to create a specific design. My three secondary claims are: tattoos are falsely perceived as unprofessional, tattoos are incorrectly believed to be permanent, and tattoos are viewed by many as body defacement. So, going on to my first secondary claim, tattoos are falsely perceived as unprofessional. Tattoos are seen as permanent and unnatural skin modification, which causes people to discriminate against people who have tattoos. This created a time where tattoos aren't really accepted in a workplace. Rachel Hennessy, a contributor of Forbes magazine, states, "The Cleveland Clinic has a similar policy. Tattoos must be covered during working hours to ensure consistent professional appearance while working." Although there are people who say and make rules to make tattoos seem unprofessional, there are professional individuals that have tattoos. This leads to my first supporting claim that presidents and world leaders have tattoos. Vanessa Bradford, a journalist, states, "Outside of the U.S., Russian Tsar Nicholas II had a dragon inscribed on his arm during a visit to Japan in 1891, while King Alexander of Yugoslavia had a large heraldic eagle tattooed over his chest. In the U.S., President Teddy Roosevelt had his family crest tattooed on his chest. Presidents and world leaders need to uphold their status by dressing well, being coherent, and other means to conform to ethical standards. And if they do something unprofessional, they are criticized. And this shows how tattoos can be in a professional environment. Tattoos used to be a symbol for rebels and gang members, but now people are getting tattoos outside of that group, which caused tattoos to become more socially acceptable. This leads to my second supporting claim that companies are becoming tattoo friendly. Scout and Corey from CBS News reports that UK-based retailer says, "Tattoos are a form of self-expression, and we routinely highlight our employees' body art in our marketing campaigns." There are also 28 other retailers like IKEA, Home Depot, and other companies that are becoming tattoo friendly and will hire people that have tattoos. My secondary claim is tattoos are incorrectly believed to be permanent. People are always telling others that you can never take away a tattoo. That's why you have to make sure that it is the right thing to get. That is true because tattoos penetrate the dermis, which is the deepest layer of the skin, and which cannot peel off the tattoos. Hold on, let me start over. Tattoos penetrate the dermis, which is the deepest layer of the skin that cannot peel off. The immune system attempts to kill the ink that is in your skin, but it can't take out all of the ink. That's why your tattoo is visible. But there are other ways to remove them. This leads to my first supporting claim that lasers can remove tattoos. Technology has evolved, and laser removal works by breaking up pigment colors with a high-intensity light beam. Laser removal is effective. The Razor Clinic, who specializes in tattoo removal, states, "There is just no way to predict how many treatment sessions it will take to completely remove a tattoo, but we usually find that it can range from 5 to 12 treatment sessions. It is a process and it does require commitment, but we definitely have the technology to completely remove tattoos." There is also an invasive option for tattoo removal, which leads to my second supporting claim that surgical procedures can remove tattoos. The surgical procedure works by cutting out the tattoo and stitching your skin back together. Getting a tattoo surgery removed is a painful and crazy process since you are getting tattoo cut out of your body, but is an effective way and quicker way to remove a tattoo laser than removal. My third secondary claim is tattoos are viewed by many as body defacement. A pastor named Betty Miller says the Bible warns us against tattoos in Leviticus 19:28, which is amplified. "Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print or tattoo any marks upon you. I am the Lord." Defacement is believed as something that is damaging or disfigured in this quote, and many other quotes in the Bible cause people to believe that tattoos are wrong since it goes against religion. But what if I told you that even if the Bible says that it is wrong to get tattoos, it does not mean that tattoos cannot be a glorious piece of artwork that is not body defacement. My first supporting claim is tattoos can be used as a cover-up for scars. There are people that regret looking at their scars that they did to themselves and that they could have prevented from happening. Some people use tattoos as a way to make them feel better about themselves or replace that terrible reminder with a good one. Sally Tarmac, a person from the BuzzFeed staff, posted a quote from someone, the BuzzFeed community, that states, "After several years of dealing with depression, anxiety, eating disorders, societal attempts, and self-harm, I got my tattoo of the Leo constellation. The tattoo really helped me to reclaim my body and learn to love it, scars and all." There are people out there that don't see tattoos as body defacement, but as a way to reclaim their body and regain confidence and beauty. There are other people that use tattoos to savor their memories, like to tribute a tattoo to a loved one, which leads to my second supporting plan. Tattoos can be used to pay homage to loved ones. Tattoos are a fitting tribute to a loved one that passed or a pet that passed away, because you can carry that tribute with you for the rest of your lives. Getting a tattoo for a loved one can be the most significant piece of ink that you can get that will not be viewed as body defacement, but as a beautiful memorial for whoever you please. Just to go over everything, my main claim was society mislabels individuals by associating tattoos with false stereotypes. My secondary claims where tattoos are falsely perceived as unprofessional, tattoos are incorrectly believed to be permanent, and tattoos are viewed by many as body defacement. Just to say, ignore the false stereotypes and make your body into a living canvas. Thank you.
All right, well, the proposition's identified, but you rushed through it so quickly that I barely figured out what it was. You were already into the secondary points by the time I understood that you were speaking. I mean, in the first 26 seconds, we got the detention device, the purpose statement, and the secondary claims, and you're into the body of the speech. I think you are just in a hurry. You've got too much to cover, and you've got too much organizational substructure on some of your points. That was the next thing I was going to mention. I thought there was a pretty good preview of what the secondary points are going to be, but when you got to each of those secondary points, several of them have minor organizational structure that gets a little bit confusing, because sometimes you've got a first and a second point, and then you go to the third point, but the third point is actually the third major point, not the third point under the secondary claim. So you're overdoing the organizational structure on the secondary points. I've got 4 or 5 supporting claims, and I know that you only had 3 in the preview, and that's primarily because you overdid it on the supporting substructure. So you need to simplify a little bit there. I'm not exactly sure how much controversy there is on this. You start off by telling us that lots of people have tattoos. Well, if so many people have tattoos, where is the proof that there is some discrimination against these folks, that they are judged harshly, that they suffer some consequence? The closest I come to anything that talks about that is that there's a company policy at one company that requires the tattoos to be covered during the day. Other than that, there's no discussion of who is suffering because they have a tattoo and are perceived negatively as a consequence. You take general stereotypes about tattoos that might have existed at one time, suggest that they continue to exist, and then try to diminish them by showing that because so many people have tattoos, they can't really exist. I think that's a little self-fulfilling in that argument. The argument about historical figures having tattoos, that's interesting factual data. That might have made a more interesting attention device than the statistic that you presented. But I don't know that it shows that it's widely approved of, since all of the examples that you have occurred almost 120 years ago or more. So contemporary examples would be helpful. So if George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump all have tattoos, that would be convincing. If Theresa May had a tattoo and she was showing it off at the latest European Union meeting, that would be interesting. I think that all your examples seem to be relatively outdated, outmoded, and they certainly don't seem to fit into the categories that you were describing later on. The argument about the removal of tattoos feels completely out of place. I suppose it's a type of rebuttal argument that goes along with this notion of body defacement, but it does take up a chunk of time, and it means that you had to rush in other areas, and I think that it doesn't really get you that much. In fact, the descriptive process that you had for removing the tattoos sounds like it is pretty damn onerous, and although it's not impossible to remove the tattoos, it certainly suggests like there is a problem with doing so, either in terms of pain, time, or perhaps cost issues as well. The body defacement issue, we're getting into some value arguments here. That's a little bit dangerous. I'm not sure that anybody is, like I said, that anybody suffers as consequence except for themselves. If you can't be buried in a particular cemetery or you think you're going to hell as a consequence, well, those are belief systems that occur within the religious dogma, and you don't do anything to dispel that. You just suggest that there are other reasons that people get tattoos, and there certainly are. There are probably as many reasons to get a tattoo as there are people and tattoos. The question, though, is does that mean that it's okay for Jews to be tattooed and they can be put into the appropriate ground, or the Catholics aren't going to go to hell, or whatever the rule is that is precluding them that makes the biblical reference here. All right, and because you're rushing, I think that hurts your credibility. You don't speak to the audience. You're running through the presentation in front of them, and you need to pace yourself a little bit more. All right, thank you.